This is Radio Webster Tarpley here in Tripoli, Libya. Keep up with my reports from this trip at tarpley.net, tarpley.net. There were 2 reports from Libya. We will shortly be having a 3rd report. I guess we should put it up there as report from Libya number 3. That was my discussion with Kevin Barrett on his program, Truth Jihad Radio, last night. And again, Kopfverlag in Germany will have an interview with me, as has Radio Popolare of Milan, and again, 1 or 2 more Italian websites for sure. We're looking forward tomorrow to a large pro-Gaddafi demonstration. This is going to be something in the neighborhood of 1 million people, if it's anything like the one about 10 days ago. So it's going to be pro-Gaddafi in large numbers, and it's going to be completely boycotted. You won't see it on Al Jazeera, and you won't see it on the U.S. network. So because of the no-fly zone and because of the naval blockade, you have to come in by land. Now, there's nothing about a naval blockade in any UN Security Council resolution, but the bandit powers of NATO have simply decided that they will do that. And one of the reasons they're doing it is, if you look at the typical Libyan cuisine, excellent as it is, the Libyan diet depends a lot on fish. And, of course, there's a fishing fleet that goes out into the Mediterranean. In their infinite wisdom, the wardens of democracy in NATO have decided that democracy now equals starvation if you happen to be in the loyalist-controlled, Gaddafi-controlled part of Libya. So they've decided to send predator drones over the Mediterranean. And if they see Libyan fishing boats setting out, not for any military mission, but just to catch fish for food, nothing military, they bomb them. So again, this is the outrageous criminality of this war, conducted in the sunshine of Obama's smiling face, but nevertheless representing huge crimes against humanity. So you come in and you're driving through the Libyan desert for quite a few hours, and what you notice is that every 5 to 10 kilometers, there are checkpoints. And I guess by the time we got to Tripoli, we had gone through 40 or 50 of these checkpoints, some of them faster than others. The checkpoints are manned, to be sure, by the Libyan army, but the Libyan army is supplemented by volunteers. Many of the volunteers are women. And, of course, remember that here in Libya, a significant part of the population has very dark skin. Some of them are basically black Africans from the province of Fezzan in the southern part of the country. And what you see from this is that Gaddafi has a significant base of mass support in the form of the volunteers that come out and work at these checkpoints. Now, that's also supplemented by the fact that there was already a 1 million-person demonstration on June 17th, I believe, in the city of Tripoli. This gives an idea of the lies of the controlled Western media, who say that there is no support, that everybody here lives under a military reign of terror. We'll examine later how absurd that is. So you drive through all these checkpoints, and you finally get to Tripoli. Now, living under NATO bombing poses special problems of its own. It's different from anything that I've ever experienced, certainly. The idea is that a NATO bomb could come down anywhere at any time, and they could, and they have. And if you can be in a perfectly peaceful civilian setting, and before too long, a NATO bomb can impinge on your personal situation. Just a couple of examples of this. People living here, you're going to have to bear with me on the coughing side. This is just the way it is, so please do hang in there. On the day of June 7th, there were a total of, some people say 70, some people say 80, some people 90 bombs dropped on the area of Tripoli all day long, starting early in the morning until 3 a.m. This was obviously a terror bombing, and the idea, of course, was to break the morale of the population of the capital and break the morale of this entire part of the country. Remember that as the country splits, the Cyrenaica, eastern Libyan rebel area, gets about 1 million people or so over there, perhaps a little bit more. whereas the part over here is slightly less than 5 million. So the numerical relations are very much against these NATO, CIA-backed rebels. But the 70 or 80 bombs, certainly 70 or 80 on that day, I think are a landmark. That was June 7th. That was a day of terror here in Libya. I spoke to a very nice Canadian lady who lives here with her husband and her children, and she said the bomb that hit closest to her house hit 4 kilometers away, and it nevertheless broke the lock on her back door. The wave of compressed air, the shock wave from the bomb, did that to the back of her door. And people have stories, and tragically enough, a lot of people that you meet have already had relatives killed. You go outdoors in the daytime or at night, and especially if you're in the countryside, if you're out of the city, you can hear a distant line of jet engines. And these are the NATO flying bandits. These are the butchers, the cowards, who kill women and children from 40,000 feet. You generally can't see the aircraft, but you can hear them. Even if you can't see them, you can hear them. And at any time, it may come down. So this puts life itself, I guess, in a somewhat different framework than normal existence. So you then begin to visit places. I have now visited about 4 sites, I think, 3 or 4 that have been bombed out. One is the villa of Muammar Gaddafi here pretty much in the area of Tripoli. This is not the Gaddafi compound, but a kind of a villa that seems to have been used also for diplomatic meetings and things like this. So it's simply a bunch of residential buildings, and it's been blown out. And typically what NATO shoots at you is a bomb. You could call it a cluster bomb, but I think that gives more of an idea of shrapnel. In other words, that's something that's going to break up into, dozens, scores, maybe hundreds of individual bomb pieces. What they seem to use to destroy buildings and compounds, complexes of buildings, is a projectile that breaks apart into approximately 8 parts, and each one of those is capable of blowing up a building of significant size. Needless to say, these contain depleted uranium, and one of the concerns that we've had is that the Libyan forces that are cleaning up some of these places don't seem to be aware of what depleted uranium will do. In one case, the guy picked up a piece of the bomb and he wanted to show it to me, and I urgently advised him to put it down, that this was probably depleted uranium. So some of these places are going to be poisoned for centuries, like millennia, millions of years, I guess some people think. We'll be back in a minute with more in the report from Libya. For Tarpley here, broadcasting from Tripoli. Back in a minute.